Unless you're an avid follower of Korean domestic news, there is a probability that you might not be so familiar with the stories that made news here in this country this year. Well, no need to worry. Our Soo-eun has sifted through the headlines to find this year's 10 biggest stories. Soo-eun?
Right out of the gate on January 1st, a new cigarette tax went into effect, raising prices up by 2,000 won a pack. Later that month, an 18-year-old Korean teenager with the surname Kim left Korea to join ISIS. On February 11th, there was a 106-car pileup on a foggy bridge, leaving 2 people dead and 65 injured. In the same month, the Constitutional Court ruled that having an affair is no longer a crime in Korea. Since 1953, adultery had been a punishable criminal offense with a maximum sentence of 2 years in jail. But on February 26, 2015, the Constitutional Court ruled the adultery law was against the Constitution as it violates a citizen's basic rights. But that doesn't mean there's no longer a penalty for adultery.
The spectrum of acceptable evidence has widened to include more indirect evidence, like records of text messages, phone calls, photo attachments, and credit card bills.
The next big story on March 5th was the attack on U.S. Ambassador to Korea, Mark Lippert. The ambassador had cuts to his hand and face, but the injuries were not life-threatening. In April, businessman Soo Won committed suicide, leaving a memo in his pocket listing 8 high-profile politicians who he argued had accepted bribes from him. That same month, lawmakers passed a bill making security cameras mandatory at daycare centers after several reports of child abuse at local centers. Next on the list is the outbreak of Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS. It all began when a businessman came back to Korea after a trip to the Middle East. He was infected with the deadly virus and health authorities didn't catch it. The result, 186 people contracted the virus and 38 died. MERS also revealed a hole in Korea's quarantine network and raised discussion about the Korean custom of having family or hired caregivers in hospital rooms to look after patients.
In Korea, 6-person hospital rooms are the norm and the patient beds are very close to each other. On top of that, caregivers who don't have professional knowledge of infections move among the beds all day, during which time they also go out and interact with others. Infection control is fundamentally impossible in this environment.
The Korean government formally declared an end to the MERS outbreak on December 23rd, though there are still 2 people with MERS who are in the hospital in stable condition. On November 14th, tens of thousands of protesters came out to Central Seoul to rally against the government's labor reform plans and its plans to retake control of history textbook publishing. On December 3rd, the Justice Ministry announced its plan to replace the existing bar exam system that began in the 1970s with a new Western-style law school system. It would be put off until 2021. The move drew strong objections from people who want the bar exam system kept.
Only people with undergraduate degrees can go to law schools, and the tuition is very high, at around $17,000 a year.
But for a long time, the old bar exam system had been criticized for fostering exclusivity among an elite group. And there you have it, the top 10 domestic news stories of 2015.